tuning in to the Embodied Astrology podcast. I'm Renee Sills. I'm a consulting astrologer, embodiment educator, and the creator of Embodied Astrology. Embodied Astrology is much more than these horoscopes in our podcast. It's actually a movement that is full of people who are interested in the ways that astrology can help us more deeply embody our earthly and universal intelligence at this time. We offer ongoing classes, workshops, trainings, and community process spaces where we practice astrology as a language for living. We blend astrology with art, science, healing methodologies, and activist strategies. We hold space for ourselves and each other to expand and explore symbolism, mythology, and meaning, to queer, unpack, and evolve this ancient technology in service of our present needs and future potentials. If this sounds like something you've been looking for, or if my readings resonate for you and you want to take them to the next level, I hope you'll join us sometime. Stick around after your horoscope and I'll tell you a bit more about what we offer, how we work, and why I think embodied astrology might be a great space for you too. If this work benefits you and you want to help me keep giving these monthly readings for free, or help us keep all of our offerings available with financial accessibility and sliding scale, please take a moment right now to like, follow, and subscribe to our channels. This season's horoscopes are intuitive offerings for each sign of the zodiac. May they serve and support you in some way. Listen for your sun, moon, and rising signs. Remember that not everything is for everyone. Take what works, leave the rest, and make the meaning that's most meaningful for you. Thanks so much for being here. Now, onto your horoscope. Hello, Aquarius. Welcome to Scorpio season. This reading is for all of your Aquarius placements, definitely including sun, moon, rising in Aquarius. And maybe you know, Aquarius, that you have all 12 signs in your chart, and Scorpio as an energy is a very important energy for you. It is one of your siblings on what's called the fixed cross. You and Scorpio are both fixed signs. And fixed energy as a modality or as a quality is very, very strong. And sometimes strengths can become weaknesses, just as weaknesses can become strengths. So when I say you're both really strong, I also mean that Aquarius and Scorpio are both energies that have to work with challenge, struggle, have to find their ways through experiences in order to do the alchemical work of turning weaknesses into strengths, and also letting strengths that have become weaknesses dissolve and become something else. And this alchemical potentiality is knocking on your door right now, Aquarius. As we move into Scorpio season, I feel that a lot of you are really in a kind of position where you are needing to reflect a lot on your strengths and also your weaknesses. And this is not easy for anybody to do ever, really. It's great, to feel like, oh, I'm so strong. That's such a wonderful feeling. But when we're doing reflection on strengths and weaknesses, especially the need to feel where our weaknesses are, and especially when there are ways that we are strong where there's also a lot of weakness, that can be pretty challenging. On an ego level, it can be a real bummer to feel that, some way that, we thought like, oh, I've got this figured out, or this is me, being strong, being bold, being da-da-da, actually maybe, I wasn't looking at that, or I was unaware of this, or I was acting from ego, or wow, that's coping, or something like that. Just like in our physical bodies, where there are places where we might have a lot of developed strength, but then some very deep intrinsic weakness, it can be very hard to get into the places that are weak if we have a lot of superficial strength developed over it. And this is why in rehab programs, if you've experienced some kind of injury, they will give you exercises that are really small at first so that you build that intrinsic deep muscle strength and stability before you go off trying to get your big muscles to get bigger or something like that. So in Scorpio season, a lot of you are really kind of working this alchemical process between what is strong and what is weak. I feel this for you in your own body and in your own life. You might be going through some kind of physical or health related experience where you are realizing that there is some need for recovery, for strengthening, or for repatterning, or for retraining. When it comes to your life, there is a feeling of your basic energy right now wants to be alchemized and worked with, particularly in the ways that you are putting yourself out there, and particularly with the ways you put yourself out there to other people. How you are expressing yourself, how you're making overtures, how you are showing up for relationships. This includes all kinds of relationships. There's something coming up right now that feels like a lot of you are needing to get a little more internally aware so that there can be some kind of process of discernment and refinement around how you're putting yourself out. This is a basic process of emotional maturation and cultivating greater emotional literacy that I hope everybody goes through in waves throughout our lives. And it looks like, Aquarius, that one of these waves might be cresting for you right now. And there is a opportunity for you to really kind of work with what's living inside of you, and how is what is alive and present inside of you in terms of your own psychology, your own emotions and subjective experience, influencing and affecting and shaping the way you put yourself out to others. And I think that many of you want to care for yourselves better right now. And caring for yourselves better could look so many different ways. It could look like giving yourself some kind of opportunity to just feel your feelings. Not always so easy for Aquarius to do that. So things like journaling, talking with trusted friends and confidants. Maybe there is some kind of therapeutic process that could feel helpful for you right now. Giving yourself quietude, space to just really listen, and intentionally asking yourself, what am I feeling? I find that somatic practice can be extremely helpful for this. And sometimes if I don't know what I'm feeling emotionally, but I do know that I'm feeling something physically, like a backache or a headache or some kind of indigestion or something like that, just tuning my mind to the physical sensations and asking my body, what's the story here? What wants to get expressed? I'm oftentimes very surprised. And even though I've worked as a somatic practitioner for almost 2 decades, I continue to be surprised by how much our bodies are trying to do for us all the time. An example that I have is just, I have places in my body where my chronic tension goes. Like I get a lot of pain in one of my shoulders quite frequently. And I've learned now that when that particular pain comes up, there's also a kind of internal stress and I'm going to say dissociation that I'm experiencing. And part of what I need to soften it is some time to arrive with myself, some integration, some allowing for the stress that I'm feeling to just be acknowledged, because it's very easy for me to compartmentalize it and put it over there and say I'll deal with it later. It's not actually happening or whatever, I can get through it. I don't know if you relate, Aquarius, but I feel like some of you might. And I want to say that this is a period of time that really needs you to heighten your awareness of what is happening internally, emotionally, and in your subjective experience so that you can show up for your relationships more skillfully and more powerfully. And again, I mean this on all levels of your relationships. Finally, I want to say that this is a season that feels like it is bringing a lot of focus to some very foundational, basic parts of your life. And these are the parts of your life that make everything work. So this is the material realm. This is your food. This is your money. These are your basic needs. This includes your jobs and your labor. It definitely includes your body and your environment. And it certainly includes that big existential kind of question of what are you doing with your life? That might look like a career. It could also look like various roles that you hold as a parent, as a friend, as a member of society, as a person who's part of different lineages, etc. Scorpio season is a stressful period of time, and I'm not going to try and sugarcoat that. It's just a very stressful period of time. You don't need any astrologer to tell you that it's a stressful period of time in the human consciousness. And there's a lot of instability, and I think that many of you are really feeling this instability. You might be feeling it directly in the circumstances of your personal life, and you might be feeling it in more of a tertiary way, where you are witnessing very profound chaos and instability happening in the world and have some kind of feeling that it's only a matter of time before it arrives on your doorstep. This is a season that is putting a lot of emphasis on that big question, what are you doing with your life? How are you bringing your energy forward and out and into the world? How are you making an impact? What kinds of impacts do you want to be making? Again, what lineages are you a part of? What do you stand for as a metaphor here on the planet at this time? I think a lot of you are really looking to engage your power in new and different ways right now. And when it comes to your personal power, we can't really separate that from the realm of relationships, because the feeling of personal power is the feeling that you can manifest something in the material world, in the landscape of your own life, and in the dynamics of the relational field, whether that's people who you work with, your family, your partners, or the kind of larger collective that you are a part of. And as you are kind of navigating through this time, again, there is a need for you to tend internally so that you can act externally in ways that are congruent and aligned with your values and with your deepest desires. Now, over the course of Scorpio season and through the next number of months, I'm going to say until early next year, even into the first quarter, March and April of next year, there is a lot of back and forth for you in your relationships. And it feels like some important relationships are taking a primary focus right now. And your important relationships, these definitely include partners, but it doesn't have to necessarily be like life partners or romantic partners. It could include business partners. For some of you, there may be more like antagonizing relationships. I want to say frenemies or like open enemies or something. There could be conflict that's emerging. For some of you, friendships are really taking a kind of important space. And there may be other forms of relationship where you are having a heightened experience of a kind of dyadic, like one-on-one dynamic that you have with another person that's requiring some kind of process right now. And inside of this process, there is, again, a need for you to really work with where are you coming from and what are you coming with. When we're in relationship with each other, it is always more than just us. You know, you and me are here in relationship in some way, and it's more than just us. I'm here in the past talking to a screen, and I'm imagining you, but all of my teachers and teachings are with me. My present relationships are with me. The books I've been reading, the people that I pay attention to, right? Like they're all here also speaking with me because they've been influencing my mind. They've been touching my heart. They have been moving me to pay attention to certain things in certain ways. However you're hearing me and whatever information you're taking in is also being shaped by the collectives that you are a part of, by the many different voices and influences that are already existing inside of your consciousness and subjective awareness. And particularly when it comes to conflict, and particularly when it comes to more engaged relationship dynamics and partnerships, there's so much more than just the people who are the focal point in the relationship. There are so many more layers of relationship that are present. And I think that a lot of you are in a kind of time, place, experience where you're trying to suss out and sort out who's here. And I feel this most intensely with you, with yourself. Like, who's here? Is it my strengths? Is it my weaknesses? Is it my weaknesses that want to become strengths, or my strengths that have become weaknesses? Whose voices, right, have become part of this chorus that is singing through me? Now, in the back and forth that's happening, some of you are needing to take action in some way, or you are putting yourself out in some way that really starts to build in momentum as we get into Scorpio season. I think a lot of you feel very compelled and motivated. The action feels like it is being initiated by relationships on some level. So you're doing things for someone else, or you're doing things because of someone else. But over the course of the next several months, there is this process of, how do you know yourself here? Because what you are doing is also for you, and it's also because of you. And so many of us get into real deep shit when we think that we're doing something for other people, and we haven't taken responsibility for what we need to be doing for ourselves, or what we're trying to do for ourselves. A great example is helping, right? Lots of times and places where we can see this acting out. You may have experienced this on one end or another, right? Someone is like, I'm going to help you, but actually they have a need to feel helpful, and that's the thing that's moving them. They have a need to feel powerful, like they can do something, like they can fix something. And so they rush into action to help. And this help could look all kinds of ways. But if the help isn't about really tuning in with who they're trying to help, and actually centering that experience and deeply listening and trying to respond and resourcing whoever it is or whatever it is, who probably knows, fairly well what they need, and usually probably knows better than whoever's trying to help. If help is coming as a kind of misattuned or not listening reaction, that's not helpful. It's not for someone else, it's for you, right? It's for you to feel like you can do something to affect the situation. And this is kind of the vibe that I'm getting in the Aquarius charts right now, is that a lot of you are being compelled into action. So you might want to help the world right now. You might want to help someone else. And what I want to ask you is, what are you doing that's for you here? And your altruism and charitable intention and loving nature and desire to be of service, that's all really important. But if you don't know your own motivations, and if you're not clear on that for yourself, then your efforts won't be sustainable, and they won't be impacting in the ways that you want them to be. So I'm not saying don't do it, because it is really a time when we need all hands on deck. And it looks to me like a lot of you are being compelled by a very real need in some direction. But what I am saying is, make the time and the space right now to do internal reflection for yourself on, what are your motivations? What are your desires? What is compelling you, and what is propelling you into these actions? And in that reflection, if you are trying to affect something else or someone else, have you taken the time to really listen and get information about what they want and what they need? Or are you operating on your own ideas about it? And this is crucial. When you take the time to gather data, to ask directly, and to listen, to make yourself available for feedback and reflection. Some of what might be reflected to you could conflict with the ways where you feel strong. People, when we want to help, we're going to grab for what we feel our strengths are. So maybe you have money you want to throw at something. Maybe you can do something to fix it. Maybe you can, how are you going to charge in? If someone tells you, actually, that's not what I need right now, I need this kind of thing, and what they tell you is, I don't need your strength. I need the part of you that you haven't developed yet. I don't need your money. I need you to listen to me. I do need your money, but I need you to give it to me so that I can make my own decisions. I don't need you to give it to me with causes and conditions or something like that. There are so many ways where we can get really attached to acting and enacting and embodying from our own egos and from our own ideas about what's going to help, what's right, etc. This is a period of time where Aquarians have to be really sensitive and tuned in and curious and willing to give space and patience, because a lot of you are trying to forge new and different ways of being in relationship. A lot of you feel compelled and propelled to show up in service with care. A lot of you do really want to help, and a lot of you have a lot of help that you can give right now. A lot of you have so much that you can give right now. Please take the time to listen. Please take the time to tune in, check in. Make yourself available for showing up in ways that might not be innate and automatic and already practiced for you. This is a period of time when many of you can discover and cultivate strengths that you didn't even know that you had. And this is also a period of time when a lot of you can rework and alchemize and let go of ways that you have been trying to be strong that actually are just about bracing. And there's not a true source of sustainable strength here. And I'm sure that you can think of lots of examples like that. And this way of being where it's like we rush in to try and help things and fix them, that is one of those places where a lot of people feel that, oh God, they become rigid, right? It's like the weight of what they're trying to do actually becomes really burdensome on their bodies. And not only is it not really attuned or listening to the folks that they're trying to help, but it becomes a kind of entrapment for themselves as well. Okay, Aquarius, the new moon on November 1st and the full moon on November 15th are both very powerful lunations. They have wildly different energies, and the 2 weeks between them are packed with a kind of intensity that is really palpable for me and my body with this astrology. Now, because the new moon and the full moon are both on the fixed cross, I'm going to say that these lunations are really important for Aquarians. And these are probably some new moon and full moon times that are possibly going to be pulling you into the kind of extreme fluctuation that new moons and full moons can do. So the new moon on November 1st is in the sign Scorpio, and this is a new moon that is really wanting you to tune in with how are you showing up in the world right now. This definitely includes your career. This definitely includes your vocation. If you are a parent, this includes you in that role as a parent. If you have any kind of position of authority or leadership, and that doesn't mean that your job title means that you're a leader, right? But you might have a position within a crew that you work with where, you can show others how to show up for something. Aquarians are often really natural leaders. Doesn't necessarily need to, have CEO on your business card or something like that. So this is a new moon that is really pulling a lot of focus into how are you showing up in the world. And because this is such a hard time in the world, because there is so much instability. Some of you may be feeling doubt, depression, insecurity, and unknown when it comes to that big existential question. What I really want to encourage you to meditate with is service. How can you be of service through your life at this time in the world? And that question can be a micro question. It could have to do with in this instant, how can you be of service? And it can also be a macro question in your lifetime. How do you want to be of service? Or beyond your lifetime as an offering to future generations and ancestors, how do you want to be of service? This is not a period of time where you get great answers from trying to figure out how to be the most successful. If ambitions are really anchored in a sense of ego or competitiveness or wanting to prove something to yourself or to others, that does not get you good answers at this time. What gets you the best answers is how can you be of service? When we think of service, I don't want you to think about putting all of your own wants and needs to the sides, right? The service that you can most fully devote yourself to is the service that can come uniquely through you and in relationship with what you most deeply care about. And accessing your heart and your tenderness and your emotionality right now is helpful. We live in a society that often is going to tell us to, get up into our heads about who are we in the world and what do you want to be when you grow up, and let's be logical about it. That's not helpful right now. What's helpful is you being able to feel your heart and feel your body and know what's important to you. And when you know what's important to you and when you are in service to that, then you are meeting your own needs. And this is what we need you to be doing. We need you to understand what your motivations are. We need you to be trying to pour back into your own cup as you are also showing up for others. There's also a kind of quality at this time right now of potential scarcity and not knowing where your resources are coming from. And there may be, again, a lot of different reasons why you are feeling that, but a lot of you are uncertain about how to get your needs met. Now, I do want to say that as we get towards the full moon on November 15th, there's something that's starting to shift around this. And the space between the 1st and the 15th is a period of time when I think this stress and anxiety of not knowing how to get your needs met might compel you into action and try and get you to get out there, find opportunities, etc. Now, I do want to say that you want to exercise caution during this time. It may be that the opportunities that you're looking at aren't going to be the opportunities that are really going to serve you for the long term. If you have the privilege of patience at this time, then I would say you want to give yourself at least until, if possible, like early next year to discern whether or not you want to stick with something. So let's say some of you are looking for employment right now. You might find something and it seems good enough for now. Give yourself like 3, 4, 5 months to just try it out, but also give yourself permission to do something differently if this isn't the right fit for you. This is definitely a period of time where you want to be working with skill and discernment around your investments. That includes your money. It also includes your time, energy, attention, and labor. And the ways that you put your investment into something or that you are trying to bring in resource to your life, these are shifting and fluctuating. And this larger process that you're in around clarifying your desires, your intentions, and your motivations ideally helps you to clarify how you want to be investing in the future, what you want to be investing in, and what will actually pour back into you and resource you in the ways that you need. The last thing that I'm going to say, Aquarius, is that this is an intense period of time. Scorpio is an intense kind of energy. And we also have Scorpio's modern ruler, Pluto, moving into your sign right around that full moon in the middle of November. And Pluto is taking up residence in Aquarius for the next couple of decades. Now, if you want more information about this, definitely make sure to check out my 2024 year ahead reading for you. It is now discounted. There's a ton of information for you there. We will also put the 2025 readings on pre-sale next month, so definitely make sure to grab one of those when they come out, because that's going to be a main theme. But what I'm going to say to you right now is that if you feel intense, you are right on time. So if your mind feels intense, if you and your body feel intense, if you are like, oh my God, the world's so fucking intense, why is everything so intense? Aquarius, you are right on time. You have one of the most intense planetary energies moving into your sign. And this energetic imprint is all about alchemy. It is all about the power of transformation. And intensity is a transformative kind of substance in and of itself. Weight, pressure, time, activation, that is what makes alchemical processes happen. And what you can do to work with this energy right now is ask yourself what needs to be known about this intensity. What is trying to show itself to me right now in my consciousness? If you think someone else is being intense, let the reflection be a mirror for you. What do I need to know that this person is reflecting to me? If you think the world is intense right now, what do you need to know about that intensity? How is the intensity that you are perceiving in others also intensity that lives in you? If you think that horrible things are happening out there, how do you work in here so that the stuff of those horrors doesn't manifest unconsciously in your body, mind, and in your relationships? As I've said a number of times now, there's a back and forth that is happening, and if you haven't felt it yet, then you probably will by the time we get into November. And this back and forthness has to do with how you put your energy out and also how you reflect back in. And when intensity arises, of course, what is natural for us humans is to react and defend ourselves and protect ourselves. And oftentimes that's totally what we need to do. But if we don't alchemize that charge by reflecting on it, by working with what then lives in us, then all we do is continue to perpetuate trauma and charge. Please, please, please have so much care and patience for yourself right now when you are realizing that certain strengths are actually weaknesses, or that other weaknesses really need to become strengths. Please affirm and validate that you are having a human experience and that you are a spiritual being on a long journey, on a soul journey of evolution, and that what is happening right now in your life and in the world will not be a waste if you can meet this moment with consciousness. What is happening right now can actually serve healing if you can meet it with desire for healing. If you can work with it skillfully, not projecting it out, making it other people's fault, but actually really working internally. How do you meet this moment in service? Okay, Aquarius, I'm going to leave it there. That's kind of an intense reading. It is an intense season. If you stuck with me and if this resonates for you, please stick around for another couple of minutes. I want to tell you about what's coming up at Embodied Astrology and share with you a little bit more about astrology in general. We do have a lot of spaces that can hold intensity really well. All of the embodied astrology spaces are meant to assist in alchemical processes. And if you feel like you want some community and some embodied astrological practice would be helpful for you, I think we might have something for you. Thanks for listening to your Scorpio season reading. If this horoscope resonated for you, please show your support by liking, following, and subscribing, and by sharing our work with your friends and community. These are the #1 ways to support this work and help us grow. If this work benefits you, I also hope you'll consider working more deeply with us at Embodied Astrology. Because we time our classes, workshops, and events with current transits, we're always offering to the present moment, and we are usually right on time. Every month and throughout the seasons, we engage the creative, experimental, and experiential aspects of current astrology. And our work is always given with an ethos of generosity and accessibility. Our classes, workshops, and series are available with scholarships and by sliding scale, and no one is turned away for lack of funds. We do rely on your support and presence to keep us going, though. Please help sustain and support our work by making a one-time or recurring donation, or becoming a member, or sign up for one of our current or upcoming offerings. This season, I hope you'll join me for Somatic Space, which is a class I offer every Monday where we prepare ourselves to work with the astrology of the week ahead through gentle, healing body practices, breathwork, meditation, and visualization. You can drop in once to try it out, or if you become a member, you'll also get access to the past classes video archive and Tea Time, which is a monthly conversation space where we learn and share how astrology is moving through our lives. Both Tea Time and Somatic Space are great ways to get to know me a bit better and for me to get to know you. Our conversations and practices are always rich, vast, and heartfelt, and the connections and community that build in these spaces is so deeply nourishing and incredibly special. In early December of this year, Mars will station retrograde in Leo. Over the course of the following 3 months until next February, Mars will retrocess or retrograde from Leo to Cancer, where it stations direct at the end of next February. Between now and December, the retrograde influence of Mars is increasing as we move through what's called a shadow period. This is when a planet is traveling direct over a zodiacal degree range that will be imminently revisited by its upcoming retrograde. When Mars is retrograde, especially in the signs of Leo and Cancer, we all need to work with our basic instincts and impulses more attentively. These are times when small misunderstandings can escalate quickly into large conflicts, and when anger, aggression, and desires that are unconscious or unprocessed in our individual and collective experiences can surface suddenly and sometimes quite dramatically. These are also times when we can grow immensely and develop our individual and collective strengths, courage, capacities, and what I think of as our deep spiritual will. Ultimately, this is a transit that wants to help us use our power with more consciousness and also up-level our emotional and energetic awareness, especially around areas of conflict, impact, and intent. Sorting through the stuff of conflict is messy work. No matter what the conflict is, there is always more than what's visible on the surface. Since our personal and interpersonal experiences can't get separated from the institutional, environmental, and ideological, it can be profoundly overwhelming and hard to move towards conflict transformation when most of our issues are totally complex and entangled on multiple levels. In order to prepare for this transit, our faculty member, Ramon Parrish, is offering a 3-week series, November 7th through 21st, called Constellations of Conflict. In this series, we'll do the work of investigating the intersections of conflict as they emerge in our individual bodies, interrelationships, shared spaces, and the larger world. Through the lens of astrology, we'll use our natal placements, synastry, and transit timing as guides. We'll explore how current astrology and this Mars retrograde can help us navigate, engage, and skillfully meet this time of profound conflict and transformation here on Earth. This Scorpio season features a grand trine between the Sun in Scorpio, Mars in Cancer, and Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. This season, more than most, is a time of deep water and intense feelings. In astrospeak, water always asks us to move down and inwards, and to get in touch with our emotional bodies and internal experiences. Working with the wisdom of water also assists in working effectively with Earth. When we can craft and create containers that hold space for feelings to be as they are, we'll naturally find our way into flow, and what we don't need, we can let go in ways that nourish, cleanse, hydrate, and sustain. Over the weekend of November 9th and 10th, Embodied Astrology facilitators Gabs 404 and Junata Petrus will hold 2 watery, earthy sessions to make space for the following week's Taurus full moon. In November 9th's Nebula Lab, Gabs will be joined by Dani D'Emilia, a non-binary, eco-trans feminist artist and educator whose work with radical tenderness and hospicing modernity invites intimacy into the layers of life right now. This is an opportunity to be with the immensity of the moment, get grounded in our bodies, politicized in our healing practices, and held in our humanity by the larger cosmic web of inseparability. The following day, November 10th, Junata Petrus returns for the Taurus full moon edition of her monthly Artistic Alchemy series. In these classes, we orient with the full moon axis in our charts in order to reflect on our creative devotions and the realities of surviving in a capitalistic world that is filled with uncertainty and possibility. We practice staying grounded with the rhythms of astrology and spirit, channeling the wisdom of cosmic alignment, and opening to celestial guidance from our ancestors as support for living creatively through times of unknown. Following Junata's artistic alchemical opening, Sherry Taylor and I will co-lead a special council session the following weekend on Saturday, November 17th, which is the day after the full moon, where we'll focus specifically on astrology and ancestral attunement through working with the symbolism of Saturn. Sherry has been faculty at Embodied Astrology for over 2 years now, where her work in deepening and expanding Saturn's mythic and archetypal symbolism has yielded a powerful path of devotional practice. Our co-led session initiates a new cycle of Saturnian devotion, which Sherry will lead through 2 subsequent sessions, culminating on the December solstice. You can find more information about everything and everyone I just mentioned in the show notes or through the study section at embodiedastrology.com. If you can't make our live events, but you still want to participate, your registration will always include recording access. I certainly hope to see you soon over Scorpio season in one of our spaces. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening and engaging. I'm wishing you all the best in this season and beyond. Bye for now.